Howdy, howdy folks. A-Train here with you for a Farming Simulator 22 how-to video. Have you ever been trying to set up CoursePlay on a field in Farming Simulator 22 and had this happen to you? Or maybe you were selecting fields and this occurred. Clearly, you weren't trying to select multiple fields, you only wanted to set up a job on one field. So why are there multiple fields showing connected together within CoursePlay? What's the issue, and how do we work around it? I have a couple of solutions for you in this video. The issue seems to stem from maps that are mod maps, and situations where the map creators have made fields too close together for the program to differentiate between the two. Thus, why the outline includes multiple fields. We're looking at the Elm Creek map, which is one of the ones that was built into the game. You'll see between the various fields there are small rows, and these are tracks so that vehicles can drive between the fields. This gives the computer plenty of room to differentiate between field A and field B. Thus, when you go into CoursePlay and try to set up on one of these fields, it has no problem determining the outline of the field and your working area. Here we see satellite imagery of the Greystone Farm area in northern North Carolina. Circled is our area of interest, specifically fields 16, 17, and 21 and 22. You'll see when we activate CoursePlay and try to set up a course, the fields appear to be joined. Looking closely, you can see that there's no real differentiation between the brown areas representing the fields. Let's set up a new border for field 16. I created a little gap using the landscaping tool, but we'll go into detail in that in a minute. Here I've clicked on the field and the option to draw a custom field becomes available. And you right click to work the border of the field using the blue line. When it comes to curves around the edges, I like to use multiple points to get it as close as possible so the computer will read it cleaner when it works jobs. Now we save it, it gives us an assigned name, but you can click on that and go back and actually change it to something you want. In this case, CP CoursePlay 16. Now we have a newly defined field 16. Note that the computer has automatically generated the size of the new field. Our other option is to go into the landscape tool. We select dirt, grass, mud, whatever you want to use, and then find your position on the map and try to orient the map so that it's as easy as possible to open up the space between the two fields while not wiping out too much of them. I recommend switching to the circle, which is the V key if you're using a PC, and very carefully either clicking or dragging your way between the two fields. Now, I've used the M key to enlarge the cursor about 2 times. This way we don't take too much off of either field. Being this is kind of at an odd angle, work slowly, take your time, work through, and then you'll be able to open this space up, and then the computer should be able to differentiate between the two fields automatically. Otherwise, you at least then have a basis if you want to go back and redraw the border yourself. Now to demonstrate, we're going to delete the custom field that we created earlier, go back, save the game. It's always good to make a save point when you have modified a field physically to give the computer a chance to catch up. We fire CoursePlay back up, we click in the field, and you can see now, even without our custom field boundary that we drew, the modifications we made using the landscaping paint tool allows the computer to recognize the border of field 16 and its separation from field 17. With that done, let's move over to fields 21 and 22 and perform the same thing. Clicking on field 22 or 21, you can see the computer does not differentiate. Indeed, it's showing 21 through 23 all connected. So here we're going to jump into the landscaping tool. Here we're going to jump into landscaping, the paint tool, and we're going to look at some very narrow spots between the individual fields, and we're going to look to open those gaps up very carefully to minimize the amount of destruction, as it were, that we do to the given fields. We choose landscaping, paint, we'll take grass, we're going to use the V key to switch to circle, and the M key to make the cursor just a little bit bigger. This is 2 clicks of the M key, so 2 sizes up from the default painting setting. You can go 3, it will just make the gap a little bit bigger between the fields. If you're working with curves, I recommend using the round shape cursor. Later, you'll see how we use the square shaped cursor when we're dealing with straight lines between the edges of fields. Here we're going to clean up the edges. Just open up these gaps a little bit more to make sure that the computer can differentiate. This grass field actually does not have a designation on the Greystone Farm map. There are a number of grass fields like that. You can go in and they have an outline, they have definition, and you can purchase them, but they don't have a field number assignment. So here we just trim back the lines a little bit. This way it's not actually going to affect the planted field. It just takes away from the grass field. Now we want to work this line here, but we're going to rotate the map and just kind of try to position ourselves where we can drag the cursor by using the WASD keys, in this case the S key. We're trying to make a straight line, and we're just kind of drag it along with the S key while we hold down the left mouse button to draw. And you can see I got the angle just right. We were able to draw in between the 2 fields and not go gouging away any big sections of them that we'd have to go back and plow later to add back into them. So here we can check for any little small spots that we just want to trim away, carefully and cautiously making sure we maintain the flavor and the original shape of the field, but we've opened it up now so that hopefully the computer will recognize everything. Let's go over and check this field here. We saw that there was a little connection between the 2. Clearing back some of this area that actually has not even been planted should create the gap we need to accomplish the borders and the fields separating themselves from each other. We'll move up here to the other end, check to see if there's anything here. Notice there's a road between these 2 fields, and that's more than enough space for the computer to figure it out. Over here we can check the lines between the grass field and this field. Again, just very carefully working along the edge, just taking a little bit at a time. It's better to take too little than too much. All right, so we've worked the curves, we've opened up the gaps. Now how are we feeling about this? Well, we need to punch out, go back into our normal view on the menu, and open up CoursePlay. Now you can see the gaps have opened up a little bit. They may still look like they're joining, but let's give this a shot. We punch up CoursePlay, we click in field 22, and we see it's isolated. We click in a few different spots because sometimes it may not read the same thing everywhere on the field. The grass field's isolated. 21, 22, and 23 are now all separated in individual entities, and they're ready for us to assign workers and jobs to. Let's switch over to the Frankenmuth, Michigan map. Here you'll see the area on Google Maps. What it looks like in real life was used for the basis. Our focus is on fields 5, 6, and 7 in the upper right corner, and we'll zoom in here where you can see it's very hard to differentiate between the 3 fields. Likewise, the computer has kind of a hard time doing so, as the gaps between them are rather narrow. We try CoursePlay, all 3 are showing joined together. Although in this case, we click on field 7, and it does come up solo in several different positions. But we need to create a little more space between these two fields, or three fields, a little more between 5 and 7, a little more between 5 and 6, and between 6 and 7. That way, the computer will be able to tell the difference. So if we click on create a job, we click on 7, it shows up, but we know that there's a border here between the two fields. So let's work over to landscape, the paint feature, and we'll run up. On your left is field 5, on the right is field 6, and then you'll see the transition. There's field 7. So we've got the three fields coming together at that little T intersection. This space between them, though, is just not quite big enough. So we're going to go to paint, go to grass, switch over to a little bit bigger cursor, and we're going to use the square this time. As we've tilted the map, we've maneuvered the map to try to make this as straight as possible. We find a spot, we hold down the left key on our mouse, left mouse button, and we use the S key to drag the map, and then we'll just slightly maneuver the mouse to try to keep it centered as much as possible between the two fields. We don't want to knock off more than 1 or 2 rows. We'll knock off at least 1, sometimes 2. We're to the ditch past the fields, and now we've created our separation, as you can see here on the game map. Now, will it accept it? Let's try a CoursePlay, create a job. And field 5 is now isolated. Field 6, though, still shows to be joined with field 7. But field 5 looks like we're good to go here. So we've got our north-south border separating field 5 from 6 and 7. Let's switch over to the east-west border separating fields 6 and 7. Again, we'll use either the square or the round cursor, go up about 2 sizes from the default size, and just carefully align it and drag it between the two fields to create a little bit bigger gap. I'm guessing this would be maybe a 2-meter gap. I don't know what the scaling is here, but we're going to push back a couple of rows on either side. We get to the far end. Now we're just going to run back up, visually checking to make sure we didn't skip anything, miss anything. You know, if there's a real rough edge or something, we can clean that up. Otherwise, we'd have to bring the plow into play. As you can see there, we're standing by with the plow, and check that. So now we'll go down, we'll perform a quick save. This will give the computer a chance to kind of reanalyze the borders of those fields. Let's fire up a CoursePlay, check the jobs, click on a field position, and voila, field 6. Now, in that one spot, field 6 is showing joined to field 7. Everywhere else, though, it seems to be separate, and I don't know why that is. So, what we'll do then is, you know what, Uncle, it's all good. We have a backup plan. We could make the line a little bit wider, but then we also risk kind of doing more damage to the field. Our other option is to draw a custom field. We'll right click, and if you make a mistake, stop, just don't save the field, start back over. All right. We have straight lines to work with, and we can visually see what we need to do. I made a little mistake there. Back up, start over. Kind of wanted to get this line a little bit straighter because now I have a visual reference. In theory, you could just do a little patch at the end of each field and then just use that as your visual reference. I like having the little bit of the gap there, though, because it just makes it easier to get it right. Especially if you're working with a plow, you don't want that venturing over into the adjacent field and possibly causing damage. So we right click our way around the map, staying as close to the edge of the brown as we can. Look to save the field. It names it whatever it wants to. We click on that and say, we want to change this to CP6, CoursePlay 6. Click OK. It tells us now the size of the field. We've got a new border established. If we want to get rid of it, we can delete it. And now we know how much field we're working with. Let's create a job. And we click in the area that was giving us problems before, and now we have no issues. So You can use the Draw a Custom Field feature. You can use landscaping in the paint feature to create a gap. Or you can combine the two to give yourself the space you need if you're having issues with CoursePlay on fields that are too close together. I hope this video helps you out. If you have any questions, feel free to fire those off to me in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you'll give us a like, share with your friends, and let them know about the channel. Let them know about Farming Simulator 22, now available on Steam from Giant Software. Subscribe and click that bell icon so you know we go live or upload a video. See my Steam and Tower 3D Pro libraries on Discord, link in the description below, and your donations are greatly welcomed and appreciated at paypal.me/atraingames. There's a link in the description below as well. Thanks again for joining us. I hope you have a great day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are on planet Earth or beyond. I'm A-Train. It's over. And I'm out.